Wow. All right. So this conversation is for a whole month, where we're gonna unpack the whole thing around suspicion and how it silently destroys relationships.
Yeah.
So we asking the question this morning to start this conversation: what is suspicion in a relationship? I want to address it. Is a state of mistrust. Is a state of interpreting things through the lens of doubt, of fear, of reading meanings into what someone has done and not done. It assumes danger before evidence is clear. It's fear actually looking for evidence. That's what suspicion is. So when a person is no longer in a state of trust, but that trust is replaced by fear, love begins to investigate what it should nurture. That is what we call suspicion. It changes how you see people or you see this person, because when you're suspicious, how you see them changes. Before you saw them as a friend, you saw them as a confidant.
Yeah.
You saw them as a, your go-to person. Now you've seen them as a threat. You've seen them as a problem. You've seen them as betrayal, walking on 2 feet.
Yeah.
It changes how you interpret their actions. So actions will have meanings and layers of meanings, even when maybe there was nothing to it. But your mind is saying, why didn't they take the call?
Yeah.
Why did they take so long to answer me? Why did they skip that message? Why is this a comma instead of a full stop?
Yeah.
You begin to read meanings into their actions. You interpret their actions, and also now it changes how you behave towards them.
That's true.
So you very cautious around them. You're very guarded around them. You can even become very aggressive around them, or you become withdrawn. You become defensive unnecessarily. You become aggressive unnecessarily, or passive aggression even. So how you behave towards them changes.
Yeah.
Before, the vibe between you were vibes of friendship, vibes of harmony. Now the vibes are very toxic.
Yeah.
And very uncomfortable. The feeling in the relationship is very awkward and very weird. That's what suspicion is. Suspicion begins when there is an unexplained gap. The mind does not like gaps.
Yeah.
So when there's a gap, your mind is quick to try and fill it up. And sometimes it's assumptions that are made to fill that gap. So instead of asking questions for clarity, you make the assumptions, and then you work with the assumptions. And now, it begins to affect how you comport yourself in the relationship. So when we fill these gaps with negative assumptions, that's what we call suspicion. So there's a gap. You don't understand the gap, but your mind quickly fills it with negative assumptions. That's suspicion. Suspicion is when you begin to allow an observation to begin to take on deep interpretations. You observed that they walked into the room without their phone.
Yeah.
Now you interpret that they dropped their phone with somebody. Now you interpret they're hiding their phone from you.
Yes.
Now you interpret, your kinds of interpretations begin to come in there. So it was an observation. But now we are loading the observation with interpretations. And sometimes these interpretations could actually be wrong. All right? So, suspicion is when it begins when past wounds and past traumas begin to influence how we are looking at things. Maybe something happened to you before.
Yeah.
Maybe there's been an experience, or there's been an episode, there's been something that happened. Now you're allowing what happened to influence how you're interpreting what will happen and what is happening.
Yeah.
So the past is hijacking the present and even hijacking the future.
Sure.
So that's suspicion. That's where it begins. No, it's not always wrong to be suspicious.
Yes.
But it's wrong to allow suspicion to take control of you. It's wrong to allow suspicion to be exaggerated, to be unguarded, to be ungoverned, or to be untested. You're just running on just suspicion. There's a problem there.
Yeah.
Because now it's affecting how you function in this relationship. It's affecting how this relationship is either growing or dying. So there's nothing wrong with, being suspicious.
Yeah. Or cautious.
Or cautious.
Yeah.
What you should do is to question it, not for it to run you, not for it to take control of you, but to question it. Why am I feeling this way? Is there something to worry about? Is there something to be concerned about? And then it increases your alertness. Now we can, take it forward to, try and make meaning. Why did they not take my call? It's been 2 days now, they're not taking my call. Why are they not taking my call?
Yeah.
Now, I am now cautious about that. Now, it's 3 days, it's 4 days, it's 5 days. What could have happened? So, when I question what is going on and I check for patterns, I noticed, okay, then they pick your call after 5 days.
Jeez.
Then next month it happens again.
Yeah.
And then you notice that it happens on the 25th.
Eesh.
25th to 30th, they don't take your calls. So you notice this pattern in 3 months. Something is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you begin to study the pattern to understand what is happening.
Yeah.
You're not just, assigning meanings or interpretation to what is happening, but you are trying to understand. So that's, there's a difference between being suspicious and being discerning.
Yeah.
And one has to be discerning. You cannot, run your life and not have discernment. So on the surface, they look like siblings. They look alike. They even look like identical twins. But when you dig a bit deeper, you see the difference. Suspicion is fear-driven.
Yeah.
It's driven by fear. It's driven by mistrust. While discernment is wisdom-driven. You see, so the motive behind each is the difference. When someone is suspicious, it's fear that is driving them. They make conclusions very, very quickly. They run into conclusions very quickly. They make assumptions. While, on the other hand, discernment is trying to understand what is really going on. Discernment seeks for truth.
Yeah.
Discernment tries to understand the truth, tries to study it. And the other thing is that discernment is undergirded by humility, by patience. Undergirded by humility, is undergirded by patience, is undergirded by kindness. The Bible says that love believes all things.
That's true.
Love believes all things. Suspicion doesn't believe the best of somebody. In fact, suspicion assumes the worst of them. And when you say you love somebody and you find yourself assuming the worst about them, question, what are you doing? Because love does not assume the worst of somebody. So you see a gap, you see something, and your mind quickly fills it with negative assumptions. You're not in love.
Yeah.
You're not walking in love. And there's something the Bible teaches us about walking in love. Faith works by love.
Yeah.
We cannot say we are exercising faith and our love is not working. It kills faith. When your love is dead, it kills. In other words, if you allow suspicion will not allow your faith to work in that relationship. And remember, the just shall live by faith. So we use faith to sustain this relationship. But now suspicion is here. Everything is suspicious. Who's that? He picks a call. Hey, who's that?
Yeah.
She wears this dress and puts some perfume. Oh, where are you going? Why are you smelling like this? You make negative assumptions. You hear rumor. You hear rumor. You conclude the worst about the person.
Yeah.
You conclude the worst. So suspicion is driven by By fear, it assumes guilt and it damages trust. You see, while discernment seeks truth, discernment protects the relationship because it's driven by wisdom. So there is always the benefit of doubt that you allow when you are working in discernment, because you're trying to study to understand what is going on. What is there a pattern here? Is there something happening that I don't understand fully? And you open your mind to let the Holy Spirit show you.
Sure.
All right, so it's a difficult place to be when someone is being suspected or being accused of things that do not exist. The first thing is you need to control your emotions and refuse to react from injury. In other words, don't take offense and become offended. Why are you suspecting me? And then you also now start doing negative things because they suspect you. So do not act from injury. Allow the question, what created this suspicion, to be answered. Allow that question to be answered.
Create a safe space.
Yes. What made this person start suspecting me?
Yeah.
If you can answer that question by yourself, or if you need to extend the question to them and understand where they're coming from, and then open communication and try to dispel whatever it is. Remember, it's gaps that create suspicion. So there's this gap. Try to work with them to explain that gap so that they can see it clearly that there is actually nothing there.
Yeah.
Instead of their mind, and the devil loves it.
Yes.
When there's a gap, Satan begins to feed you with ideas of
And
what could be happening over time. He even brings the worst.
Yeah,
See,
that's
Satan
true.
is not love. God is love. So Satan does not work in love towards anybody. Satan assumes the worst of somebody. In fact, he projects the worst. So when you're in a relationship, and it's not just romantic relationship, it can be a relationship at work, it can be a relationship between friends, it can be a relationship between siblings. Satan will always fill any gap with all sorts of things. That's why you need to control your mind. You need to watch what you're thinking.
Yes.
Why am I thinking this way about this person? So let me leave this here for today. Tell the truth. Expose whatever seems to be shrouded in darkness, in secrecy. Open it up.
Yeah.
If you have nothing to hide, then there's nothing to hide. So open it up. But sometimes it becomes extremely difficult, even when someone is suspecting you and they are suspecting you. You know what? Sometimes you just say, you know what? Carry on suspecting me. I'm not going to even try to prove myself innocent, because it looks like the more I'm trying, the more you know what? Believe what you can, or believe what you want and all that. So there is work to be done on both sides. If someone says there's no need for you to suspect me, would you try and adjust yourself also to say, maybe I'm being overtly suspicious. Maybe Satan is working overtime trying to fill up gaps with negative, assumptions and so on and so forth. Well, the number to reach us on is 062-520-2020. 062-520-2020. Send a WhatsApp message there to say, I'm dealing with this situation. I need help.
Yeah.
The team, somebody will respond to you and tell you what to do. Maybe you need to book a session. Maybe, I don't know. Just send a message. Don't die with this situation, burning and eating you up, and you are so uncomfortable with what is actually unfolding in the relationship. Seek help.
Yes.
Do not allow suspicion to kill something that God is wanting to bless.
Amen.